A very, very, very good evening to all my audience and for keeping me company from the afternoon. Of course, I'm celebrating the International Day of Peace and Understanding through Sports. My name is Shilpi. I'm the Relationship Manager with the Global Education and Training Institute. I couldn't find a better person to end this day but Mr. Kunal Sareen, who is the National Training Director of Zuma Sport India, which is based out of Pune. And thank you, Mr. Kunal, for coming here and joining in the disruptive education movement. So, talking
My
about
pleasure.
yeah, so he's going to talk about does physical education, needs a rethinking in in education, the whole scenario of education itself. Because since the pandemic has started, this has become a very important question because children are not going out at all. Leave alone, playing anything. They aren't even getting the chance of cycling outside. And it's another year, and we fear that this might have to continue for a few more months. So, Mr. Kunal, it's over to you, and I hope you can throw some light over it as to how, even in this scenario, how can we look upon physical education as the need of the hour?
So, thank you, Shibli
Uh,
ma'am.
I,
And
can you just give me a minute? I was
for
so,
sure.
in the flow of the physical education that I forgot to introduce my guest. But Mr. Kunal, he is actually a internationally certified soccer trainer. He has been trained under one of the most famous Brazilian coach, and also he is working with many educational institutes across India. He's as it is, he's the national training director of Zuma. So, and he's an MBA. He's the first person to establish a chain of soccer schools all over India. So, he is actually, I chose the right person for the day today. Thank you. It's over to you.
Thank you. I'm obliged. Thank you for your kind words. Hi, my name is Kunal. I am the National Training Director at Zuma. Zuma is a physical education program that works with schools across the country to make sure that they are self sufficient in order to deliver world class physical education programs. Now, what an appropriate day for me to have an audience with everyone today and talk about the fact that does the education in physical education need a rethink, especially in where we are here in India, because a lot of times physical education, period physical education in the subjects for the school, uh, PE is equal to is equal to games period, is equal to sports period, is equal to dance, is equal to everything. So it also many times is used as a free period because maybe your maths portion is lagging behind and you need to cover up and you say, hey, I need a free lecture. Let's take the PE lecture. But apart from that, I think the time has come for us to understand when we speak about physical education that world over, when we speak about physical education, it's about developing motor skills. And motor skills are nothing else but skills for sport. So everything that we do here at Zuma is about developing skills for sport. Without much ado, I'm going to quickly ask Shilpi to run you through a quick video. So Shilpi, over to you.
A is for action. B is for balance. C is for catch. D is for dancing. E is for extend. F is for frog leap. G is for grip. H is for hoop. I is for intercept. J is for jump. Kicking cat. L is for land. M is for mirror. N is for nimble. R is for obstacles. P is for posture. Qu is for quiet. Shh. Shh. R is for roll. S is for skip. T is for throw. U is for upside down. V is for victory.
is for
By learning how to make our bodies move,
in all sorts of different ways.
we are building the confidence
to go on to have a go at.
any sport or physical activity.
It's much easier to learn these skills
Before we become self-conscious.
I'm more reluctant to try. Through mastering ways to move and coordinating our movements
we are developing a love for physical activities.
that will last a lifetime.
Yeah, thank you for that. Shruti ma'am, thank you very much. The reason why the video is actually broken down into ABC is not just because the program is only for little ones. In fact, it's not. It's motor skill development is for everybody. But because the way we teach sport is exactly like the way language was taught to all of us. Now, how did they teach us language? They broke language down into the ABCs. They taught us the phonetics, the sounds of the ABCs. And from there, they taught us simple words like maths hat cat. And finally, they taught us how to string these maths hat cats together to create sentences. And that's how we all learned how to read, write, and speak. Well, that's exactly what we do when it comes to sport. We take sport and we break it down into skills. Each skill is then taught in complete isolation before we start merging them together in order to create a movement pattern that depicts a sport. Now, let's say we want to play cricket, the illegitimate national sport of India, right? What are the skills required to play cricket? I need to be able to strike. I need to be able to throw. I need to be able to catch. Now, catching is a very complicated skill. It requires mature fine motor skills, which is something that our young children don't have. Of course, most of you school leaders and educators would have seen a drastic downfall in the quality of handwriting skills over the last 6-7 years, ever since the advent of technology. Now, in order to teach children how to catch, we actually break catching down, just like how A was broken down for us. We were first taught the slanting lines, then the sweeping lines, and that's how we learned how to write A. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to break catching down into the sweeping and the slanting lines, which means the two skills the children need to learn before they can catch. The first skill. Can I predict the trajectory of this object? I repeat, can I predict the trajectory of this ball? Can I predict where this is going? That's the first skill. Once I'm able to successfully predict the trajectory, the second skill is, can I now intercept the flight of this ball? Can I block it? So prediction and interception are your sweeping and slanting lines. Step 3 could be, can I wrap my fingers around the ball? But we won't get there just yet. We'll wait to develop the sweeping and the slanting lines, the prediction and the interception. And for working with children, we have fun equipment like this that we give as a part of the Zoomer program, right? Here you can see we're able to work with children, develop their motivation, develop their confidence, and eventually develop their competence to be able to learn these skills. Now, with simple equipment like this, I can not only practice receiving skills like catching, I can also practice sending skills like striking. I can hit this and practice skills that I need for volleyball, for table tennis, for badminton, for tennis, and so many different other sports. The whole idea is to make sure that we can make play fun again. I'd like to quickly share my screen and start my presentation here. So here we go.
Yes, you'll have to share it once again. I think it's not in the backstage.
1 minute, ma'am. Here we go. Yeah. It's there right now?
Yes, I'm putting it up. Yes.
So whether we like it or not, this is the reality today. Screen time is at an all-time high, physical activity at an all-time low. How we wish as educators and as parents we could invert the two, right? But I think one of the biggest challenges that's facing us today as educators is the emotional and mental well-being of our children. And given the current circumstances, the best we can is to ignite the merriment in the children again, is to activate the enthusiasm again. Can we release those endorphins in their brain and that can only happen through play. But how do we do play when most of education today is online? Let's have a look. Now, what we did is we did a research, and we came up with something called the HAPA assessment. HAPA actually stands for Health and Physical Activity Assessment. The HAPA assessment has been created in collaboration with leading pediatricians, nutritionists, child psychologists, and physiotherapists. What it does, with answering just a few questions on behalf of the child, the parent gets a complete insight on the child's nutrition intake, screen time levels, physical activity levels, and it is an overarching general indicator of the mental well-being of the child. Not only does this help the parent in understanding where the child is from the HAPA scores, but also gives them a definitive direction. So the idea of creating the HAPA assessment is to arm the parents in these times of the pandemic with the right information so that they can take the necessary corrective action. Well, let's come back to physical activity. Professor John Ratey from the Harvard Research Center actually found out that it is exercise.
You have to click
Yes,
on the slides. It is still on the first slide. If you want to move on,
So I'm sorry, I'm not. What are you seeing right now, ma'am?
like I'm just seeing the first slide. So are you on the first slide right now?
No, I'm not on the first slide, ma'am. I'm actually I've come all the way to the third slide.
Click
How
on the
do I
third.
make now?
Click on the third slide, then it will come up.
Ma'am, when you say click on the third slide,
Yes.
is it now?
Yes.
Okay, great, no problem. I was in full screen mode. I think that's the reason why you're able to see this now. Do you know from the Harvard Research Center? Shilpi, ma'am?
Yes, I can see it now.
I just want to know if you're seeing screen number 5 at the moment.
Yes, did you know? I can. It's written there. Did you know?
Brilliant. All right. So Professor John Ratey from the Harvard Research Center actually found out that it is exercise that builds new brain cells and not new learning. Very contrary to the belief that most of us have been brought up with, because we were always told you got to read more, to study more, to learn more. But what science found out was pretty much the opposite. What they found out was that when we exercise, there are neural pathways that are created in the brain. These neural pathways act as express highways for learning. Learning becomes a lot more faster, simpler, easier. And when they did the research at Harvard, they broke children down into 2 groups. And the group that actually went through a dynamic exercise program doubled their reading abilities, and their math scores improved by a whopping 20 times. Now, sitting is the new smoking is not something that has been coined by us. The World Health Organization actually has a list of things that contribute to human mortality, the reason why human beings across the globe die. Did you know that lack of physical activity is the 4th largest contributor to human mortality? Would you like to guess what's on 5? Smoking. Yes, smoking. I mean, we all know the dangers and the perils of smoking, and that goes completely undisputed. No parent or educator in their right mind will ever encourage a child to smoke. And yet, we seem to be pretty okay with the sedentary lives that our children are leading. In fact, I think to a great extent, we're responsible for giving them this couch potato lifestyle. Well, let's come back to physical education and sport. Now, we do believe that over the course of the pandemic, schools have sort of bent over backwards to accommodate the children, sort of pulled up their socks, learned new technology skills, and have done everything they could have to ensure that children are not left behind academically. But when we speak about physical education for 13 years and below, we're basically talking about motor skill development. And can motor skills be developed without the right equipment? Something to ponder about, right? Well, expecting to develop motor skills without the right implements is like attempting to teach handwriting without a pencil. And I'm absolutely sure that all the educators here will find this concept pretty bizarre. Now, physical education has a direct impact on the executive functions of the brain. And it has been proven since time immemorial that better executive functions lead to better school performance. But let's keep the academic side aside for a minute. The first thing that quality physical education does is that it increases the confidence of the child. With this newfound increased confidence, children now create more opportunities for themselves to be active, and that results in the child feeling good. But when we talk about developing motor skills, what really are they? These are known as the fundamental movement skills. In short, this is a list of a snapshot, not an exhaustive list, a snapshot of every single sport in the world, the way it is played. In fact, there is nothing called sport. A sport is nothing else but an amalgamation of skills together. These skills, like I said, are known as fundamental movement skills, and they're broken down into three parts. Locomotor skills, like the name suggests, any skill that helps me travel from one place to the other is a locomotor skill. Object control, any skill that helps me control something that's outside my body is an object control skill. So it could be a ball I'm trying to catch, could be a ball I'm trying to throw, could be a bat I'm trying to strike with. These are all object control skills. Body management, anything that I can do with my body, either in a static or in a dynamic, which means moving position, is known as a body management skill. What you're looking at is basically every single sport broken down into skills. Let's take basketball, for example. What are the skills required to play basketball? Let's start with locomotor. I need to be able to run. I need to be able to jump. I need to be able to hop, which means moving on one leg. I need to be able to throw. I need to be able to catch. I need, obviously, to be able to bounce. From a body management perspective, I need balance, both static and dynamic, and I need to be able to turn and twist. And voila, we've created a sport called basketball, but just taking a few fundamental movement skills and linking them together in a certain sequence. You change the skills, or you change the sequence in which they come, and the sport changes. Isn't it magical? Now, here's what happens to children that do not receive these fundamental movement skills adequately. They experience developmental delays in their gross motor skills. They experience frustration and difficulty in learning advanced skills. And remember, you and me, when we were growing up, we entertained ourselves through play. There wasn't anything else. Today, entertainment and play are two completely different things. And if we educators don't make play fun again, I'm afraid we're going to have to see a generation that's becoming more and more couch potato-ish. Well, it discourages the children from further physical activity participation. And more importantly, it reduces their motivation for an active and healthy lifestyle. Now, Zuma is a physical education program that's been designed to improve both the quality and the quantity of the physical activity that children receive both at school and at home. At home, you'd wonder, we actually give an equipment kit to every single child, like I mentioned a little while ago. And through that, we're able to now have the world's first and only blended learning physical education program. This is our core team. These are the guys that help us design the equipment, they write the curriculums, and of course, every single lesson plan. Let me give you a quick introduction on them. Sebastian is a PhD in movement sciences with a specialization in motor skill development for young children. Michelle is from Canada and an integral part of the whole physical literacy movement. Hans is from the Netherlands and a co-owner of a physical education program that is currently running in 6,000 schools. So, well, we definitely have the best of the best in the world that are a part of the Zuma program. We believe that blended learning is here to stay. And by using technology and equipment, we're actually able to create an environment that is immersive, that can improve the immune system, the cardiovascular system, but more important, increase the interaction between the student and the school, and certainly up their happiness quotient. Right. So I'm going to share my screen once again, if you allow me, and I'm going to show you some of the activities that children do as a part of the homework. So when we give homework for physical education, we also make sure that since the kit is at home and the child is at home, now all of these lesson plans are available in a micro learning video format for all the schools so that they can deliver it at school as well as parents can have access to it at home. Let me show you a quick snapshot of how that looks like. So here we go. I'm gonna, right. So this is how the lesson plans are broken down into micro learning video format. I'm going to start with this activity. This is the 10th activity in this particular lesson plan. Here we go. Now, what you're seeing right now on your screen is basically the simplest and the easiest way to teach children the forehand and the backhand. And we're breaking it down into simpler movements so that children are able to develop these movement skills, these motor skills, before they actually go out there and play the sport. So the idea is to teach them the skills for sport, get them ready so that they have the confidence to eventually go out there and play the whatever sport they want. Embedded in each lesson plan are life skills and nutritional intelligence. So sometimes it's life skills. We want them to be more open. We've noticed lately the children are getting more and more rigid to try new things. They're sort of getting more comfortable in their comfort zone, and we want to push them forward. Each lesson plan will then eventually end with a quick recap on what we've learned today. And finally, homework. Every single lesson plan has homework for children to do. For the first time, physical education homework can be given, and teachers can be rest assured that will be the first homework that will be done. Right. So, Shilpi ma'am, that's about that. As far as I'm concerned, is there any questions that you would like to, that I can answer?
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Kunal, and thank you so well, so quickly putting up your presentations and letting us know actually what Zoomer is into. And it's something very innovative. I mean, I personally have not heard such institutions or, people, organizations working like this. My curiosity was these people that you talked about, the international, board members who are there. So when they design your lesson plan, so what is it? Is it just something pertaining to sports, or is it that it also entails the education, like you were talking about handwriting skills? So with the help of when you are teaching them physical activities, it can also improve their handwriting skills. So do they design lessons like that?
So, well, of course, ma'am, they design lessons for improving the fine motor skills and the gross motor skills, right? When you're talking about handwriting, you are talking about fine motor skills, right?
Yeah.
So there are lots and lots of activities that we have that are working with little children and specifically working and designing their, working on their fine motor skills, which automatically directly has an impact on their handwriting skills.
All right. So, is it for a age group that you target, or is it like from pre-primary? For example, Zoomer starts working children who are toddlers. Do you start from there too?
Right. So basically, we start from 3 and go on all the way up to 13, possibly even 14 sometimes. But 3 to 13 is what we cater to. Basically, preschool, primary school, and middle school.
All right. So, how do you bring about, how do you, rather, I should say, partnership with these schools? Like, for example, they have their own set of curriculum, they have their own sports period, they have their own physical education periods. So how does Zoomer get into it, mingle with them and make it a smoother thing for them?
Right. It's a great question, ma'am. Zoomer is basically working with schools. So we provide them with the curriculum. We provide them with the equipment kit for every single child that goes. So just like you have a set of books that goes home with the child, you have uniform that goes home with the child. Now you also have a PE kit. Let me show that to you. It looks something like this. right? So it's a bag like that, which has lots of fun equipment. I showed you some of the equipment here
Yeah, yeah.
that goes in. So we give the curriculum to the school, we give the equipment to the school, and now we also have a teacher training program in place where we upskill and upgrade the existing staff of the school to deliver the program.
That's great. So when you say teacher training program, so any teacher can be trained in I believe there's a notification. We'll wait for Kunal to join back. Just bear with me. I'll just ask him to rejoin, maybe because his screen has frozen. Just give me a moment. I'll ask him to rejoin.
Hi, ma'am, is my voice audible?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good, cool.
I apologize. I apologize for this.
No, it's all right. We all know how the internet is these days. So, Kunal, I was asking you that you talked about teachers training. So, is it that all the teachers, any teacher, can be trained in this, or is it that you only choose sports teachers?
No, especially when you're working with preschool and early primary school
Yeah.
children, absolutely any teacher can teach because the curriculum is already broken down. The equipment is already there. The lesson plans are already there in video format. So typically when we talk about teaching, teaching has three aspects to it, right? It's the explanation, it's the demonstration, and then it's the
Yes.
execution, right?
Yes.
We've already taken part of the first two. The video takes care of the explanation and the demonstration. So it's only the execution that's left. Absolutely any teacher, especially with preschool and primary schoolers, any teacher can teach.
Oh, that's wonderful then. So thank you so much, Kunal, for coming here. And I know you're extremely busy, but thank you for taking out time and being with us. Definitely, we look forward that many schools will be working with you and understanding this very new concept in India that is there, and associate and to bring about, a kind of balance between sports and education, the regular education that our children are getting. So thank you
Right.
once again, and have a very lovely
Thank you.
evening ahead and a very progressive life. I mean, this should
Thank you.
spread
Thank you
all
for
over.
having me here. Thank you for having me here. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.